This video is going to be a discussion of a controlled break shot for the game of 14.1 Continuous, also known as straight pool. For many beginner to novice straight pool players, and I find myself falling into this trap also, the belief is that once you set up a break shot like you see here, then you should just hit it as hard as you can without really paying attention to controlling the cue ball or where the cue ball is going after you make the shot. Sometimes slamming the break shot works out just fine. You end up opening the stack all the way, and you have a shot after the break, and then you're off to running the next rack. But more often than not, if you do not see what's happening with the cue ball, if you're not planning on what's going to happen to the cue ball, and you release control of it, the cue ball has a tendency to find its way into the pocket. You can be frozen to a rail, you can be stuck to the rack, or you can be in a cluster. The better approach, and the approach of some of the greatest players in the history of 14.1, is to control the break shot. And here is a demonstration of what I'm talking about. So what you want to do is, in the course of running a rack, you want to look for a ball that's sitting roughly in this position, and you want to play a pattern that sets the cue ball up for this particular type of shot. Instead of hitting the cue ball a million miles an hour, the idea of this shot is to, of course, make the object ball, but then you want to use a half a tip, but in my case, for the way my equipment plays, I was using a tip and a half of draw and hitting it with a medium stroke. The idea is to make the ball and then bring the cue ball off the weak part of the stack, leaving the cue ball somewhere mid-table. When you attack the weak part of the stack, you're guaranteed to have 1, 2, maybe 3 balls come off the stack, and then it allows for an easy escape or control of the cue ball. You're ensuring that you're not getting stuck in the stack, or you're not going to scratch, really wailing it off the stack. Like any other skill in pool, this is kind of a touchy shot, and it takes time to develop the touch and then to develop the vision to be able to see the shot as you're playing through the rack. In any event, if you want to develop the ability to run more than one rack at a time, you have to give up the notion of just slamming the ball into the rack. Everything in straight pool when building higher runs is centered around control, even with shots like this. If you appreciate this and other videos that I've made in the past, please consider going over to St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital and making a donation. This institution has been bringing hope to families in hopeless situations for decades, and I have supported them for most of my adult life, and it would really mean a lot to a lot of people if they had your support. So until next time, shoot straight with angles.